Hey everybody, HomeSliceHenry here, and in today's video, we're taking a first look at a brand new legendary shadow Pokemon in the world of Pokemon Go, that is Shadow Palkia. These battles were submitted to the channel by a member of the community, Maki DK, so many thanks for the battle submission. Now, Shadow Palkia is insanely glassy. It has very similar stats to Morpeko. However, the Shadow Dragon Breath damage is very oppressive, and Maki paired it up with a Trevenant and a Toxapex to climb nearly 200 elo in the Color Cup and make it to the global leaderboards. So without further ado, let's hop into the matches and check out Shadow Palkia in the Color Cup. Hopping into the first match, leading Shadow Palkia against Charjabug. Now, the strategy for this team is a very simple one. Basically trying to two-shield the Shadow Palkia on the lead to win alignment no matter the cost, because the Trevenant Toxapex score in the back is extremely strong when it has switch advantage. So we're going to see Maki commit a double shield right off the bat, and Shadow Palkia should be able to get a farm down. Opponent realizes this and they switch out. They are now going to send in Credilli. Credilli takes huge damage from Shadow Aquatail, and now Maki is going to save just a little bit of that Palkia for later and send in Trevenant. Trevenant can pretty comfortably tank 2 Rock Slides. You know what? I won't say pretty comfortably. It can live 2, but not very well. The Seed Bomb will connect, and the opponent will get KO'd. Back in comes Charjabug, but Charjabug is going to lose the CMP tie to the Trevenant. Trevenant Seed Bomb would KO. Opponent does actually use their final shield. And that's a very interesting choice, as now in comes Palkia. In the back is going to be a Whiscash, and Whiscash is going to be taking some substantial damage from the Aquatail. Aquatail lands, in comes Toxapex. Toxapex making it to the brine on the CMP tie. Mud Bomb will be hitting for super effective damage here. The Mud Bomb is going to land. Toxapex is very bulky, and it's going to need all of that bulk if it's going to try and win this game. The brine does get the opponent very low. The opponent does get a double up, but the question is, does Mud Bomb KO? I think it does not. The Toxapex hangs on. The opponent makes a switch into Charjabug to catch the brine, but they're just so low on the Whiscash. In comes the Palkia. The opponent realizes they do not have a win con, and they will resign the match. We move to match number 2, Shadow Palkia into Chestnut. And again, the charge attacks aren't really going to do much for you here, so this is all about just shielding and committing to fast moves. Chestnut is going to strike first. Easy shield here from the Palkia. It is going to be a Thunder Punch. There's a save switch into a Dragon Breath Shadow Charizard, banking energy on the Palkia, and now the Toxapex hits the field of play. So far, the opponent is ABA weak to Toxapex, so I'm expecting their third should do quite well in that matchup. Charizard gonna get knocked out here with a brine. They are gonna let that through. What is that final Pokemon in the back? It has to be a Toxapex counter. And it is. In comes Zapdos. The brine is reached. It's a CMP tie. You really have to hope that the Toxapex can hang on here. The Drill Peck KOs, and that is very unfortunate. In comes Palkia, going for the Aquatail, and this is where the opponent will have to start shielding. Zapdos is going to get the farm down. In comes Trevenant. Trevenant farming up, and the Shadow Claw goes through. They're not going to get a second Drill Peck off. They have the back-to-back, but they don't get the move as it KOs. And now the Chestnut just has no way of damaging this Trevenant, so this game will end in victory. The Seed Bomb is going to be no-shielded, but the Shadow Claw after will KO, and Chestnut does not learn a move that would be able to knock out. They're actually running a non-Frenzy Plant Chestnut. Superpower Thunder Punch, very interesting moveset, and that's going to be a good game. Great lead in the next match, Shadow Palkia versus Talonflame. Talonflame is going to retreat after one Incinerate, safe switch into Credilli, and now we see a switch into Trevenant. Trevenant, we know from earlier, it can tank 2 Rock Slides, and these Bullet Seeds are basically healing this Trevenant. Trevenant, more than happy to tank the second move and look to overfarm to get as much energy as it possibly can. Credilli now going to be hit with the Shadow Ball. This is definitely going to be enough to knock out here. Shadow Ball is going to be shielded, so the opponent trying to make a play for switch, but you just cannot Bullet Seed down the Trevenant before they make the Seed Bomb. The right play here is just to click the Aquatail and win the CMP tie, and that's exactly what Maki does. That's a great play, denying Credilli's energy. They have XL Leap in the back. The spice from this trainer is unreal, but they're about to get swept by a Shadow Palkia. Shadow Palkia was able to, oh my goodness, he's going for the Draco Meteor. He could have KO'd with the Aqua Tail, but he's saying, nah, I'm going for the disrespect. The Draco Meteor. He's trying for Draco Meteor number 2, and he gets there. Let's go. Shadow Palkia with the back-to-back bad manners Draco Meteors, and that is a fantastic end to the game. We move to the next match, and it's a pretty nice lead. Shadow Palkia versus Qwilfish. Qwilfish is very, very glassy. Opponent safe switches into Jump Fluff, and they're immediately going to get shut down by Toxapex. Even if they do have the Comday move of Acrobatics, I mean, it's still not going to two-shot. The opponent is actually running Energy Ball, so they get to fire off Energy Ball number 1 and Energy Ball number 2. But again, Toxapex is just completely unfazed. Toxapex does end up playing to a CMP tie that it does not win, so a bit of an unfortunate error there, but the good news is it is just going to be the Aerial Ace from the opponent, and that will not be enough to knock out. The undercharged Brine is actually going to not KO, and that will set up minimal farm for the Qwilfish when it re-enters the field. Sludge Wave is going to inflict some solid damage onto the Qwilfish. In comes Palkia, and look at these Dragon Breaths just absolutely deleting the glassy Qwilfish. Aqua Tail fired at the Qwilfish. Qwilfish will commit the shield. If they bait, they're not going to make it to the nuke move. They're going to full send the Ice Beam. In the back is a Shift Tree, and if this thing ever sees the Trevenant, that would be disastrous. But the Shift Tree is already at half HP from these Dragon Breaths. Shadow Palkia is so ridiculously frail, but in exchange, this attack stat is wicked. In comes the Trevenant. Opponent is going to fire off their last second charge attack. Will a foul play one shot here? Trevenant does get KO'd, and the opponent is able to clutch the sweep with Shift Tree. Brilliant energy management by them, and a well-deserved win. We move to the next match, Shadow Palkia versus Ferrothorn. Now this is a bit of a problem Pokemon for this team. Shadow Palkia, of course, is going to have its entire moveset resisted, and the Toxapex in the back also does very poorly here. So I'm very curious to see what Shadow Palkia is going to be able to do. Shadow Palkia farms up quite a bit, going for the Aqua Tail. Opponent is going to let that go. Can Shadow Palkia now farm down? If so, that would be massive. I think it actually can. The Power Whip is shielded. We now see a safe switch into a Dragon Breath Shadow Charizard, and that's going to be answered with the Toxapex. Toxapex will be hit with a Shadow move here. That's going to be the Blast Burn, and that leaves its mark. We're going to see a Brine fired at the Charizard and an undercharge. Charizard actually commits the shield, so they're making a play for switch advantage, which to me is a bit of a surprise. You could honestly go for farm on Trevenant here, as that way you're not taking the Dragon Breaths on the Palkia, because Palkia is already pretty low. It is going to be the Talonflame in the back. Ferrothorn gets farmed down by Palkia, and Shadow Palkia is cooking. Oh my goodness, Aqua Tail is shielded, but there's more where that came from. There's no way Shadow Aqua Tail isn't KOing from this health range. Down goes Talonflame, and despite a pretty tough lead, the opponent not shielding the Aqua Tail on the Ferrothorn comes back to bite them in a massive way. Shadow Palkia versus Abomasnow. This is going to be the battle of neutral damage. Abomasnow is going to strike first, but look at this. The Abomasnow is already at half HP, and the Palkia, I mean, Palkia is winning the fast move race here. Palkia going for the Aqua Tail. This will be resisted, but is sure not going to feel like it. Abomasnow is forced to commit the shield on the CMP tie. Palkia just going to double shield for switch, as it does so commonly. In comes Feraligatr. I love the decision to bank an Aqua Tail, and now you can just send in the Toxapex. As we know, Aqua Tail can be very threatening in this meta, so you save that for later, and the Toxapex is just so good at shutting down energy from Feraligatr. Feraligatr fires off Hydro Cannon after Hydro Cannon, and Toxapex just does not care. Toxapex choosing to preserve a little bit of HP, going to fire off the Brine. The opponent already ABA weak to Toxapex. Whatever they have in back should be strong, and it's going to be more Pekko. The opponent, oh, they make a devastating catch, catching the Sludge Wave onto Abomasnow, and now we see a switch into Trevenant. More Pekko. They are in full belly form here, which means their Aura Wheel is going to be electric. That will not knock out. However, they are now at the Dark Aura Wheel as well, and that is gonna KO. So down goes Trevenant. There's just so little health available. In comes the Palkia. Palkia is gonna make it to that Shadow Aqua Tail, but Morpeko still has the shield to hide behind, and this will be a win for the opponent, courtesy of that devastating Sludge Wave catch onto Abomasnow. So overall, very well played by the opponent. All right, let's move into the next game. Looking for a bit of redemption, and that's a tough opponent, a regionals competitor, Dinoski. Shadow Palkia versus Toxapex. I'm curious to see how this matchup does play out. I imagine Palkia is going to have to go down shields if it wants to win it. Palkia is going to build up to the Draco Meteor, and we will see an Aqua Tail bait. Will the opponent fall for it? The answer is yes. They will commit the shield. Shadow Palkia losing the fast move race here. Palkia lets it go. The brine does not KO, and Palkia gets another Aqua Tail. That Aqua Tail is going to get them low, and now you can just go for a very nice Toxapex farm down. Opponent pivots into Decidueye. In my view, Decidueye, one of the absolute best Pokemon in this format. It is unbelievably good. They're going to bait with a Spirit Shackle, and now no bait from the Toxapex. Going to full send the Sludge Wave. This is hard-hitting neutral damage. The opponent will end up committing the shield. If the opponent Spirit Shackles, this will not knock out. They have to go for a Frenzy here. They do go for the Frenzy. In comes Trevenant. Trevenant going to have to try and sweep, but it's already at about half HP. The opponent does have energy available on their Toxapex. In the back is going to be Abomasnow. There's an attempt at a catch. The opponent unsuccessful in the catch attempt, and now this is just going to give Trevenant farm. How much farm can Trevenant get? And Trevenant has so much energy. Back in comes Abomasnow. The Powder Snow does go through. Shadow Ball, massive damage, and the Seed Bomb is loaded as well. Great patience from our battler, not letting Dinoski catch, and able to secure that win. Very, very well played in the endgame. Let's move to the next match. Shadow Palkia, as always, on the lead. Talonflame, great lead. They should be switching out of here, and they do, into Unova Stunfisk. And Unova Stunfisk, it's an awesome Pokemon, but I don't think it's a very safe swap, as it has no coverage for the grasses, and Trevenant gets to absolutely feast in this matchup. Stunfisk throws Mud Bomb after Mud Bomb, but even a third Mud Bomb will not threaten a shield from the Trevenant. Trevenant is going to fire off the Seed Bomb. That's going to connect, and that'll set up a perfect Shadow Claw farm down. Stunfisk firing off its third charge attack, another Mud Bomb, and another no shield. Trevenant exits with energy. Banking the move, we see a switch back into the Palkia. In the back is going to be Gastrodon, and that's a pretty nice team read here, anticipating that it was probably going to be another ground type and getting an energy advantage on the Palkia and saving the move on the Trevenant, because now the opponent knows if they shield that, they just can't win. So they're forced to let it go, and then Toxapex will be able to clean up in this endgame. Ooh, are we going to see a Poison Jab down? No, we will not. He's just going to take the safe route and just farm down with the Trevenant. A Poison Jab down would have been diabolical, but then it may have put him into a range where a Fly plus Brave Bird KOs. So now the opponent, I mean, there's just nothing they can do. No one move KOs here. Even a Brave Bird plus a Fly does not KO as long as you have a good Toxapex. Toxapex, I mean, technically you can no shield this. He will shield at the last second, but regardless, the game will be over. Very well played here. Anticipating the Gastrodon in the back, saving the energy, and hard pivoting Palkia was a terrific read. And that's the kind of plays that get you on the leaderboard. We move to the next game. Great lead. Shadow Palkia versus Typhlosion. If they stay in to get to a Thunder Punch, I was going to say they are probably going to be half HP by the time they get there. We see a Tropius safe switch. Tropius, not a Pokemon I've seen a lot of in this meta, and that's immediately going to be met with the Toxapex. Toxapex, ooh, gets a free Poison Jab as the opponent does not time their charge attack accurately. Leaf Blade is going to connect. Tropius is very bulky. Now, unfortunately, our battler actually does give the free fast move right back, but since they let it go, that fast move does not register. They can send back in the Typhlosion, but Typhlosion is going to get outpaced here. Typhlosion forced to shield a Brine. Can Typhlosion get a farm down? That would be where things could get scary. They're not even going to risk it. They throw instantly. Now they're down a shield. They have no energy. This should basically just be over. In the back is going to be Dugong. That's about one of the best things they could have had in the back, and it's still not going to win them this game. Dugong, of course, will go for the Icy Wind. Palkia building up to the Draco Meteor, baiting with the Aqua Tail. Even if this is no shielded and it is debuffed, it's still going to inflict some very solid damage. In comes the Trevenant. Trevenant does not have to shield here, as this move will not threaten a KO. It does get them very low, but the Seed Bomb is reached, and that means this game has concluded. The Seed Bomb is going to pick up the KO. Typhlosion does get the farm down, but back in comes the Palkia, and Palkia has the Shadow Aqua Tail. And this would probably KO 2 Typhlosions, as Shadow Aqua Tail is no joke. Again, more Peko stats, but Shadow means this thing's damage output is ridiculous. Shadow Palkia versus Talonflame for the final match. Another great lead. Opponent safe switches into more Peko, and as long as they don't have Psychic Fangs, you should be able to just one-shield farm all the way down. If they have Psychic Fangs, which they do, things are going to get a lot more complicated, as the pacing is a lot better. That camera angle suddenly got very, very weird after the Psychic Fangs. Aqua Tail is going to be shielded, and Shadow Palkia is just always going to play for alignment, because even if the opponent doesn't bring back in the Talonflame and they bring in their third, you can just put the Talonflame onto the Toxapex later on. So we should see their third here. They bring in the third. It's Gastrodon, and this game should be over. Gastrodon going to be hit with the Aqua Tail. That's a smart no-shield by the opponent. They're realizing that their only hope of winning the game is going to be Talonflame with a shield. Talonflame versus the Toxapex. The good news for Maki here is that the Talonflame will have to Brave Bird, which means its defense at minimum is going to be at -3 exiting this matchup, and that should allow Trevenant to clean up nicely in the endgame. They're going to go for the fly first, of course. They cannot go for a second fly here. This has to be the Brave Bird. A fly will not deliver a knockout, so they go for the Brave Bird. That will pick up the KO. In comes Trevenant, and Trevenant just gets to the Seed Bomb thanks to the -3 defense. The Shadow Claws perfectly put it into Seed Bomb range. That's going to KO. There's just no hope for the Gastrodon, and that is a good game. All in all, big congratulations to Maki for making the leaderboard with Shadow Palkia. I do think Shadow Palkia is going to be at its best when it's in these limited metas. It is so frail that I do think it is going to struggle in the Open Great League, just because you have incredibly bulky Pokemon that can just take its damage output and consistently apply fast move pressure. So I do think that Shadow Palkia, it's probably worth getting one, because as we see here, it works pretty well in the Color Cup. I don't think it's going to be an Open Great League mon per se. Like, if you support it well with strong meta Pokemon, you might be able to make it work in the Open Great League. I don't want to rule that out by any means, but I think it's going to be at its strongest in these limited metas. So if you do have the Rocket Radar, I think this is actually a solid one to get, as, I mean, we do have Color Cup for another week or so, and it works pretty well there. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you're enjoying the content, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And a special thank you as always to our channel members. Your guys' support of the channel is so appreciated, so thank you guys oh so very much. And until next time, I've been HomeSliceHenry.